Hello, hello, everyone. We are back with another week of Launch Coach Football. I'm Daniel,
And I'm Chelsea.
and this is week two of the preseason. I watched your games.
Oh, I actually watched games this week and listened to games on the radio.
Oh wow, that's no, wow. I didn't realize they were. What am I saying? Of course, football games are on the radio, but I guess I just usually when I'm on the radio. I just listen to music, just random music channels.
Shockingly, I was able to listen to the Colts game on 107.5 back in Indy, and I did not get a location blackout, which I was shocked about.
Nice, nice. The only thing I saw from preseason, honestly, is that one pass Drew Adler threw, and I'm like, yeah. I'm not. I'm just maintain. Don't get too excited. Don't get too excited. It's just preseason. Calm down. But it was a
So
dime.
it's hyperventilating. Don't get too excited.
Yeah, I have a brown. I have a brown paper bag underneath my desk.
He's like, hold it together, Daniel. Hold it together.
Oh man. So it's one of those things. Like the only thing I'm looking to this preseason is okay. Ashton Jeanty got hurt, but it doesn't look like it's too serious. Uh, the Texans trade for Kendrick Booty or Boot after their receiver went down. Is at this point, it's just who's injured, who's not injured, who's healthy, who's not healthy.
You know what I learned this weekend? I learned that this is why you do not draft your fantasy team until the preseason is over.
That
RIP to that guy that took GT first overall, which was silly to begin with, in my opinion. But
I'm. It's just I remember Massey told me years ago, like he did a fantasy draft. It was like his first fantasy draft back when he was in college, and his first pick was like Peyton Manning, and this was right before Peyton Manning got the neck surgery that kept him out for the year. So it's just like, oh,
yeah, that's unfortunate timing.
like this all those type of stories, the Andrew Luck situation. I imagine whoever drafted back in '99, whoever drafted um Trent Dilford before Kurt Warner stepped in. Just you don't draft until after the preseason's over. That's just the first rule. There's two unspoken rules of fantasy that everyone needs to know. Don't draft until the preseason's over, and you don't have the last championship game as the last week of the season because that's when a lot of teams are resting their starters. You just don't do those two things.
Right.
But yep, well, speaking of injuries, we are I would say we're back, but what in Atlanta, someone's back, and that's Michael Penix. He's practicing, not full pads practicing, but he is practicing. And that once again revitalized the whole QB controversy, the QB who's gonna be the starter in week one between Penix and Tua. And this is somehow not the saddest QB battle of this training camp, but we're gonna get to that later. Yeah, so I've always been a little high on Penix. I remember I was high on him going to last year. He had his moments, but he certainly wasn't blowing the world away. Tua obviously is there now, and it's this again. This Atlanta's lucky to have Cleveland, so this is not the saddest QB battle, but I still think easily Penix is the best quarterback on their roster because I don't think Tua has not shown any kind of just like this is my job. Even in practices, people are saying he does not look good whatsoever.
Yeah, no, I've kind of been out on Tua for the last year or two. Not because he's not talented. If he's healthy and he
You are
plays,
Tua.
yeah, yeah. If he's healthy and he plays, I really don't think he's that bad. The problem is that he's very rarely healthy. So, assuming that he's going to get hurt, he's probably not even going to hold on to the starting job for the entirety of the season anyway. I think Penix has a higher upside just because of his age. But I mean, we've seen Tua have some pretty good seasons. It's not like he can't still do it. It's just more a matter of injury history at this point. And if he gets another concussion, I mean, the league might forcibly require him to retire, which would be crazy.
I think the injury history can relate to why he has such a decrease from like his prime in Miami to like his last year or two in Miami. That's not to me, that's not even the case here. He all reports he doesn't look good in training camp. He doesn't look good in practices. His preseason game, he did not look good. And they had Panks now come in from the weekend, and while he's not blowing the world away, he looks like a just a markedly better quarterback. I think the biggest question for Orlando this year is when can Penix feel that I'm still gonna get on the field because he's clearly the future, at least the near term future for at least a year, possibly two. Tua's just a stopgap. He to me, he's just there as you're taking a fly on him the same way a few years back that the Buccaneers took a fly on Baker Mayfield, or even last year that the Colts took a fly on Daniel Jones. You hope that it turns out like a Baker Mayfield Daniel Jones situation, but I don't see that with Tua anymore. At least because I don't remember hearing training camps last year. Maybe you remember in training camp. How good Daniel Jones or how bad he was in training camp last year, or how good or bad Baker was a few years back with Tampa after his whole renaissance, or even Sam Darnold when he goes to Minnesota 2 years ago. Nothing I'm hearing from training camp with Tua is anything good, and it's terrible because he was probably one of the top passing quarterbacks in terms of statistics. He did take Miami to two postseasons. He was certainly was on that trajectory, and then everything just went down. Tyree got injured. He kept getting injured. He fired the coach. The entire Miami Dolphins situation was just it's crazy because you figure this is the team of the future. This is the team of at least the next few years, and like that, it turns from Miami to meet the new boss, same as the old boss, New England Patriots coming in and making it to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I feel like the biggest indicator of how good or bad Tua is doing is when you look at the team around Tua. I mean, the team around Tua, both offensively and defensively, is markedly better than what they were putting on the field, in Miami outside of A-Chain, who obviously is really talented. But I mean, outside of that, I mean, the Falcons have a much better offense than the Dolphins did, even when Tua was there. And the fact that he still doesn't look good is missing sign.
And like Malik Willis is in his few reps in preseason, he's looked pretty good. Maybe that's just Malik Willis being a better quarterback at his point in his career than Tua, but it's not like okay, the Dolphins do. I can't say Dolphins have great talent. They don't, but they have passable talent. they are
They
tech.
have NFL level talent because they play in the NFL.
They are technically athletes. But yeah, you have Achan, who's probably one of the 10 best running backs in football, probably one of the five best catch and passing running backs in football. And yeah,
That's
that's
it.
it. Yeah,
Yep,
that's
that's literally it.
okay. Yeah,
Yep.
good.
Though apparently Malik Washington may end up being their wide receiver one, which is saying something because I don't really know much about him. So that is not a great sign.
He has the same name as the quarterback. So yeah, and the thing is, it's the AFC, it's the NFC South. This division is up for grabs for anyone that's going to put together a 500 record.
Well, the AFC East, the Dolphins are in the East.
No, I'm talking about the Falcons in terms
Oh,
of
oh, oh, yeah,
yeah.
the NFC
I'm
South.
talking
Yeah.
about in terms of the Falcons and them. So the Falcons are just gonna put out anyone the best quarterback available to play. They're not gonna think about maybe this is looking to the future or anything. And the best quarterback right now from oh I can't even say Penix is the best quarterback because you only have a few practices. But if Tua is the best quarterback you have, then you can clear the board for it's gonna be the NFC South is gonna be a three-team race instead of a four-team race at this point because I just don't see Tua leading a team to at least 9 wins at this point.
I
From
mean, the
just
craziest thing about it is that I think the Falcons have arguably the best and most talented offense in the division. So that's saying something about, how we think that they're not going to be that good if Tua is the starter. Because, I mean, they have Drake London, they have, Bijan Robinson, they have a really good O line, generally speaking, at least at a couple of positions. They have a decent tight end who actually decided to show up at the end of last year. So, I really don't think that their offense is that bad. So if we're saying that they're going to be bad, if Tua is playing, Tua must be dragging the offense down by a significant margin.
I would love to see him to go out and be like Tua from 4 years ago, but if you we can only judge him based on what he's doing right now. What he's doing right now isn't good.
Yeah.
I'd still think he's probably the week one starter simply because I doubt Penix is going to be fully healthy. But Tua needs to as soon as week one, probably week two, he needs to show out, or he realizes he's just gonna be on the bench, and that's gonna be it for him. Because I think
Yeah.
once he gets on the bench, unless Panks looks dreadful, which Panks looks bad, but he never looks dreadful, unless barring in like an injury, which again they got two of the most fragile quarterbacks on their roster right now. This is insane for Atlanta. And speaking of, I think I'm gonna say fragile quarterbacks. At least Atlanta has postseason aspirations. Cleveland's just in a dumpster fire, and it just got worse this weekend. And somehow, to me, got even worse. Today we're recording on Monday, even worse. Monken named Deshaun Watson the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns week one, a week after he had a terrible preseason game and he bashed the Cleveland sports fans in the entire city. This is has to be like the worst and saddest story in Cleveland since they moved the team in the mid 90s.
Yeah. No, I
That's
mean,
saying a lot. It's Cleveland, it's
yeah.
the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense though. I mean, they're paying not Tua, they're paying Deshaun what, $250 million dollars. Like he
They have to
wasn't just
justify the trade. They have
he
to
wasn't
justify
just
it.
going to sit on the bench. Even if he looked bad, he was probably going to be the starter. And if you're Shador, hopefully this lights a fire under you to improve. And when Deshaun probably inevitably gets moved to the bench because the Browns are the Browns, who knows? Maybe, Shador will come in and ball out because he'll have that chip on his shoulder.
And saying it's like Shadua, he hasn't been lighting up training camp, but he's usually playing better than Sean in training camp. He certainly played better than Sean during the preseason game, just based on statistics. It simply comes down that they have to justify the trade, but this might honestly be. I'm going back in my Rolodex, my mind of NFL history. Outside the Herschel Walker Dallas trade, which was a bad trade because it basically created the Cowboys dynasty of the early 90s. But this was just a sour trade just because everything off the field. This is a sour trade because no one likes or wants Deshaun Watson on the roster at this point. He's constantly being booed. He's constantly no one like you got rid of Baker Mayfield, probably the most likable Cleveland quarterback since Bernie Kosar, to bring this guy in. He's not playing well. He's not seemingly having he doesn't have much of a relationship with the fan base because the fan base doesn't really want him anymore. He's basically saying a five. It's one of those things like this is not even like a oh, this is not even like a funny thing like with OKC, like going to now the NBA with OKC and the Clippers, where OKC traded with the Clippers trade a bunch of stuff for OKC and OKC builds like a championship team with it. This is just a sad thing because no one's happy. No one's really getting anything from this except for honestly Deshaun Watson. And no one wants and I don't want to speak ill of people, but I think so well it's Deshaun Watson, so yeah, it's okay to speak ill of him. Speak ill of him.
Yeah, no, I saw a trade on Instagram and it was like, "Can I interest you in a Deshaun Watson for CJ Stroud trade?" And I was like, "Guys,
Is the
no."
tech are the Texans on drugs? Is Houston
I'm
on
like,
drugs?
"In what world would the Texans do that? Come on
Does
now."
that trade come with like several first round picks on from Cleveland?
I saw another post earlier that was like, so weeks 1 through 3, Deshaun is starting. Weeks 4 through 6, Shadur is starting. Weeks 7 to 9, Dylan Gabriel is starting. And then we're going back to the beginning with Deshaun Watson. And I was like, honestly, if that was the trajectory that this season took, I wouldn't even be shocked.
Well, I guess if outside of simply the contract, I guess another reason like you start Deshaun is you put him on the bench and Shador stinks, then you have to put him in. You put him in, then you kind of immediately justify like Shador and Dylan Gable. They're just done at that point. At least with I can't even justify it in my mind. This the only reason why you start Deshaun is just to justify a trade that is just a disaster at this point. And Cleveland, well, it's Cleveland 20, I'm trying to think 2021, 2022. They were going toe to toe with the Kansas City Chiefs, that's eventual Super Bowl champions, in a division playoff game in Kansas City. They were a team on the rise in the AFC. They went to the playoffs with Joe Flacco. That crazy when the Joe Flacco renaissance, probably his third renaissance at this point in the NFL. Like this was a talented roster, this was a talented team, and it's just all went down as soon as this trade happened. And do you think, okay, do you think Deshaun starts at least half the game, so at least 9 games this season for Cleveland?
Yes.
You think? Wow, that's okay. If he starts that game, how many wins do you think he gets as a starter? Say he plays 9 games. Do you think they go 4-5, 3-6, 8-1?
I would have to look at their roster and their schedule, I guess, but I mean, I can't imagine it going particularly well. It would probably be a losing record still. I do think they'd win some games. Maybe like If you play 10 games, they go 4-6 or something,
That's
or
more.
3-7, something like that.
I go close to 3-7 or 2-8 just because they have a top tier. They still have a great defense even without
And
Miles Garrett.
in fairness, they did add pieces on offense. So
I just, I just can't see like Cleveland doing any type of stuff. They can
neither can the rest of America,
they can
including
be
Cleveland.
they are a tough team simply because they just physically can beat you up. But I don't think they're a tough team in terms of they. I can't see them scoring more than 14 points a game with Watson as a quarterback.
Don't worry, Daniel. They'll beat the Steelers at least once.
Yes, they will. And on this podcast, I'll crash out again like I did last year.
It's
It's
okay. It's like Bill. I understand.
but at least
Jacksonville was as on the same level of being bad as the Browns for many, many years. It is only
I don't
recent.
think that's
It is only recently that they have become above average.
I don't think that. First of all, I think only the Jets. I didn't even say the Jets. No team's really been on that level as the Browns. The Browns are on a special level in
Well, as
terms of.
someone who was born in 98 and watched them play in the early 2000s and the mid 2000s and watched Blake Bortles and Maurice Jones-Drew destroy us and we would be one of two wins that they would get. Jackson historically really bad until like the last 5 to 7 years. Perhaps not Cleveland Browns bad, but Jacksonville also did have a 0-win season. So
I feel Jacksonville is one of those teams that for every 5 years, they have two weird years when they have like a really good postseason run.
that's true.
And then like they have 3 years where like they're either mid or way below mid. But they always have these weird 1 or 2 year blimps when they're just like,
True.
oh, we're in the AFC Championship game against the Patriots.
Like
And
2015.
I'm like,
Yeah.
what's it? I'm like, wait, what?
You're
Uh,
like, did I blink and miss something?
but it just
But
never
no,
lasts.
The Browns are just, yeah, they're just not good.
Yeah, it just never lasts. But in Cleveland, even more. It could have lasted. I think if they kept Baker, I know hindsight's 2020, but Baker played his last season with a bum shoulder and he just like didn't look as well, look that good. And then they shift off, they put all their chips in for Watson, which I I'm not gonna say I give you credit, but I get wanting to risk it all. That's what the Rams do, and they win the Super Bowl. That's what
I mean, you can't blame them for
Seattle does.
making the trade. They didn't know Deshaun was going to turn into what he turned into.
And that's
He
the thing
was
that
really good with Houston.
and that's the thing that's really like also nasty about this. Like we knew all the stuff happening beforehand. And also from my in terms of my part, I'm a Steelers fan. There's a lot of skeletons in Big Ben's closet. And it's one of the things that we just accept as football fans. If you play well, we would forgive you if you play well, at least forgive you to a certain extent. And it's one saying, okay, you're not playing well, so now we hate you even more. So hypocrisy aside, that's just the whole thing. The entire Deshaun Watson situation, like I said, it's just one of those things where no one wins. It's just bad on everyone's
Except
part.
his wallet
Yeah, except yeah, he's the only one that
and the
wins.
Texans.
Yeah, good point. Houston, well, Houston hasn't won a Super Bowl yet, so they had to get they had
That's
to
true, but they
get
did avoid the PR controversy.
they oh Lord. And they may have not won the Super Bowl, but for both of us, they're going to be a playoff team, which goes into, I guess, the thing we're going to be talking about most about this on this podcast, which is AFC playoff predictions, which for the most part, we may have shifted around in terms of division winner versus wildcard winners, but we got 6 out of 7 of the same teams. We both have the Bills winning the AFC East, so we both think the Patriots going to have a bit of a Super Bowl hangover, which is fair, which, you don't bet against Josh Allen.
Yeah.
We differentiate in terms of winners of the AFC North. I have Baltimore first year with Jesse Minter. Lamar's coming back healthy. I expect Derrick Henry to still be looking like Derrick Henry last year. You have the Bengals, which I guess what's your reason for having Cincy as your winner?
Well, Joe Burrow has been hurt a lot, And inevitably, a time has to come where Joe Burrow is not hurt a lot. And if that's the case, it's going to be really hard to outscore them. I do think that their defense is still going to be bad, but I don't think it's going to be nearly as bad as last year because they added Dexter Lawrence, which was a really big add for them, in my opinion. And I think that he will make a big difference on the D line. I still don't think that their defense is like something to aspire up to, but I think it's improved from last year. And if Burrow can stay healthy, I really like the, the Bengals being able to outscore a lot of teams. And if that's the case and they can outscore teams, they're going to win. So I think with Burrow, Chase, Higgins, and now you have Chase Brown as well, who really doesn't have any competition as the running back. The backup running back in Cincinnati is Samaje Perine, and I am not particularly intimidated by him. So I think Chase Brown is going to get a lot of the work. And, ultimately it's going to come down to O-line play and whether or not Joe Burrow can stay healthy. But I think the Bengals are going to have a rebound year, especially after everything that happened last year.
No, that's fair. That's really like Bo to me is it's one of those things like he if he stays healthy, they will be a great team. It's just the question is because he's been injured so often that I just picturing he's gonna miss at least some time. But yeah, you're right. They still have one of the best offenses in the AFC. They still have Chase Brown, who's just the past 2 years, he's been like a very underrated running back. I don't think people give enough credit to how good Chase Brown is. Maybe that's because I see him run up and down Pittsburgh's defense twice a year, but that's just me. Like,
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that they have upside. And like I said, I really liked the Dexter Lawrence addition. I think that that's a really good addition for that defense. That obviously lost Trey Hendrickson, needed to go out and replace him. And then, they tried their best with the rest of the defense. But if Joe Burrow can stay healthy, I'm not gonna be out on Joe Burrow if Joe Burrow can stay healthy. Honestly, though, with all the stuff with Joe Burrow, with him talking about like, oh, I've been injured. I don't know if I love the game anymore. It's giving me visions of Andrew Luck.
yeah,
Bengals fans, you better pray that you don't go through what I went through because it was horrible.
and I said you lost Trey Hendrickson. Now he's on Baltimore, and they also got
hmm
Calais Campbell. So they're showing up that defense. That defense was a big problem last year, which is rare for a Ravens defense, but they certainly got in at
They
least.
tried to get Max Crosby.
He's still on the Raiders. It's hilarious. This is
Keyword try.
he's oh no, they succeeded in getting Max Crosby, and then they said, nah, we changed our mind. They didn't
There.
try. They succeeded in getting that man and said, we don't we have too many
They were like,
touchdowns.
LOL, never mind. Uno reverse card.
Oh Lord. And now he's fighting Kirk Cousins in Raiders practice, which is hilarious. And then we have our last two teams. AFC South, we both have the Texans. AFC West, we both have the Broncos. So I guess just off the cuff, I do think out of these four teams, if I had to pick who's going to have the best record, I might go with honestly the Broncos. I really like the Broncos last year. I know defense is a tough year over year. Sean Payton's the wizard, and Bo Nix has looked like he's getting better and better every year. And I'm gonna ride or die with Denver right now. I think they would have been a much more competitive Super Bowl challenge had Nick Spam stay healthy. Texans, I'm still having big questions about CJ Stroud. Ravens, new coach, still a team that's very reliant on Josh Allen save us, please, all the time. And Ravens always lose a couple stupid games every year. Granted, it could be just a Harbaugh situation where Harbaugh just like blows a couple games, but I feel like Baltimore always they're in for at least two wins, two losses they should have won at least.
Yeah, so my four between the Bengals, the Bills, the Texans, and the Broncos, best record I'm going to give to the Bills. I think the Bills have a lot of upside this year, especially with going out and adding DJ Moore. I really like that addition. I think he's going to be really good on that team. I'm going to go with the Bills. It's hard to go against Josh Allen. I like the Broncos. I like that they added Waddle. I think that that was a really good addition. I am still not like the highest on Bo Nix. I just think he's very erratic. If he can put it together this year and be less erratic, then I'll be higher on him. He's obviously very talented and I would obviously take him. But I mean, the reason that they had so many comeback wins or, so many blown leads and then, having to win was a lot of the time because of him. So if he can shore that up and not make as many mistakes, I think they'll be really good. But I'm gonna give the Bills the slight edge there just because I trust Josh Allen slightly more. I do think that the Ravens, or the Bengals, I think the Bengals will be a good team. I don't think they'll be the best team just because of that defense. Texans have the best defense, but I have questions about the offense. Obviously, They went out and added Boot today to replace Jaden Higgins, who went down with a torn ACL. I think people are forgetting that that team has Tank Dell. If Tank Dell can play, at the same level or slightly below what he was playing, Tank Dell is a wide receiver too. Like Tank Dell was really, really good before he got hurt. So
But
I
that's
think
a
people
big,
are forgetting about him.
but that's a big if. Is he even
It
practicing?
is.
Is he even practicing at this
Yeah,
moment? Or
he's fully cleared. He's been practicing.
I haven't
At
heard
least I
much.
believe he is.
I haven't heard much from him, and I want him to come back, but that he had like
He's
every
he's probably not playing preseason, which can you really blame them for doing that? I
yeah,
don't.
good point.
Yeah.
And so for wild cards, we have um we have only actually no, we have one similarity, and that's we both have the AFC champion. We have the New England as a wild card team. I think we both agree there's gonna be a step back. Everything that happened this offseason, the fact that they got humiliated at the Super Bowl, I don't think they're better than Baltimore. They're better than the Bills. I don't think they're better than
Buffalo.
the Bills at the moment. I found it eventually.
Words.
Um, but they did add AJ Brown. They still are the Super Bowl content not champions, but Super Bowl AFC champions.
Technically, if you think about it, they're the Super Bowl losers.
I'm glass half full. Um,
Oh, I'll be glass half empty with the Patriots.
and one thing I've noticed, which is actually kind of annoying, there's a lot of people, maybe just from my group chat, there's a lot of like, oh, Drake May's not actually that good. Drake May's not a top 10 quarterback. Drake May is like so terrible, overrated. No, Drake May is still a really good quarterback. I don't think he's probably not a top five, but he's still a top tier quarterback in the NFL. I still think Drake May, he still was it the super not super the MVP, well he was Super Bowl running up, but he was the MVP runner up to Matt Stafford. There was still an argument that he was going like him and Matt Stafford going to like the last month of the season before Stafford took over the just ran away at the race. And the Patriots still have a great defense. It's not like even though May didn't look impressive, they still won those games because that's still very good defense. So I do think May's getting a lot of hate because he looked terrible, but you went against a top tier team. Guess what? Peyton Manning looked terrible against Seattle before. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think Drake May is a bad quarterback by any stretch. I mean, he certainly showed that he is a good quarterback. And, for the most part, I trust him. I don't think he's top five necessarily. I think you could argue that he's top 10. He is at absolute minimum top 15, like indisputably. So he's definitely talented. I do think that, the comments about them kind of having a cupcake schedule last year in the regular season, I do think had some validity to them. Their schedule this year is a lot harder in the regular season. They are playing a lot of really good teams this year. So I feel
Yeah.
like that will be a good test for Drake May. It's like, okay, you went out and balled out against some of the bottom feeders of the league. Like, let's see you go out and beat some of the best teams. So I'll be interested to see how he performs. I don't think he'll do badly. Like, I think he'll probably play well because I think he's a good quarterback, but I'll be interested to see how it goes that when he plays against top talent in the regular season because we just didn't see that last year for the most part, at least
Yeah.
outside of like Buffalo and teams like that.
Yeah. I also had the Bengals, which we talked about the Bengals earlier. And my last team, game by the skin, the chin chin chin, is my Pittsburgh Steelers. And my argument with this is simple. The AFC doesn't have a lot of great teams. Like I was debating the Chiefs, but I still don't trust their receiving room. I still don't trust that Mahomes and K9 can stay healthy throughout the entire year. Their defense is still top. This defense got shut up by getting the LSU defensive back. I'm completely blank on his name at the moment, which is terrible.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
But the Chargers, I think they take a small step back at the moment. I'm just looking at their schedule. I think the Steelers have an easier schedule than the teams in the AFC West and the AFC South. Um, I'm still going to have to wait and see with the Colts with Daniel Jones when he does come back. I'm not the biggest Jacksonville fan because I'm sorry, I just don't trust Trevor Lawrence that much. He's been way too erratic.
He
Every
looked good the second half of last year, though.
That's the thing. There are times he looks like an MVP candidate, and there's times where he looks like a draft, where he just throws into a triple coverage. I'm like, what are you doing? He is way too erratic for me, and I think the AFC South between those three teams, I think they do will beat each other up a little bit. So I think the Steelers can get at least 9 wins, 9, 10 wins. They got some help with Chelsea's guy, Michael Pittman. Rodgers is looking decent in training camp. I do think even though Tomlin's not there anymore, you still have a veteran coach in Mike McCarthy who can still get you a couple, who can still win you some games. So that was my last. That's biases in general. There we go. Pittsburgh goes in the seventh seed again.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I have the Patriots, I have Baltimore, and I have the Chiefs. Kind of the same argument with the Patriots. I think they take a small step back. I do think May is skilled, but they have a hard schedule. And I'll be interested to see what AJ Brown drama arises because you just know it's inevitable. With the Chiefs, I'm not going to pick against Patrick Mahomes. He should be healthy at least by week 2, I think. I really like the addition of K9. I do not expect him to play the whole year because he usually doesn't. But if they can get some decent performances on offense, I'm not going to pick against Patrick Mahomes, especially if he's healthy. And then with Baltimore, I think Baltimore will be good enough to make it as a wild card. I mean, it'll be interesting to see them with a new head coach to see how that goes in Jesse Minter, but I do think that they'll still be skilled. I mean, they have a good defense. They added some pieces on offense. I mean, you still have Derrick Henry, but it'll be interesting to see what happens to him this year because he's aging. And the first half of last year, he did nothing because he was hurt. And then the second half, he made up for being hurt by going insane. So it's like, we'll see if he can have a healthy, consistent year. And then obviously you have Lamar. I mean, it's hard to pick against Lamar and against Patrick Mahomes when they're healthy. I mean, because they're just, two of the best quarterbacks in football. So that's who
Yeah,
I have. Honestly, the other teams that I had deliberated on were the Chargers, Jacksonville, and the Colts. I think Jacksonville is just erratic. I just don't trust them to win enough games over these three teams to make it, though I do think they have talent. I think losing
yeah.
ETN is a really big loss for them.
That
And Brian Thomas needs to have a good year, or he is going to start being called a bust because his first year was great. His second year was horrible. Bro needs to have a
he-
good year.
he's going the way of Keon
The
Coleman.
Yeah, yeah. The Colts still some big questions. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor had a very heavy workload last year, so you need him to stay healthy this year. You need Daniel Jones to stay healthy. You need Alec Pierce to stay healthy. I do think they've added pieces, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. Wouldn't shock me. And then the Chargers, I think, are just going to take a step back. They already lost a starting lineman for the season, which is very Chargers of them. That happened to them last year. Their center is out for the season, which is very Chargers of them. I think they have talent. Like I like the team. I just don't like them more than the three teams I picked. So,
Well, first of all, the name of the quarterback I forgot was Mansoor Delane. I had to get that
oh
off.
yeah. Hmm.
And just well, that's all predictions. I can't really tell how we're completely wrong, and we have a Jets Titans AFC Championship game.
If that
Chelsea,
happened, I don't know what I would do.
craziest things have happened. The next one, champions, crazy no
That's
championship,
true.
craziest things has happened. But until then, Chelsea, tell us where you can find us so we can go through this whole wild season together.
Yeah, so thanks for tuning in, guys. Tune back in next Tuesday for our next episode where we go over the third week of preseason and continue to preview going into the regular season. In the meantime, follow us on our social media. We are on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Launch Codes Football, on X at Launch Codes FB. And if you're interested in joining a football group chat before the season starts, we use Chat BCC for all of your chat group needs. So hit us up and we can send you that link. And we'll be talking all things fantasy and all things football. So definitely hit us up if you're interested in joining. In the meantime, I'm Chelsea,
I'm Daniel.
and we will see you next week.
Adios.